One of the most iconic things about the Super Mario Bros. Franchise is the mustachioed man's outfit. Always equipped with his boots, blue overalls, and iconic hat, which are things that appear throughout every single entry. However, what's interesting is that in certain circumstances, Mario can actually lose his hat, where I think what would make a good video is looking at each moment where this happens, explaining why it happens, how it happens, when it happens, and where it happens. This is actually pretty common, and there's some pretty wacky things you have to pull off to get these to happen in some games. Oh yeah, before we get things started, my name is Copycat, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel, hitting that bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. To start this video off, I just quickly want to mention that the first two entries in the series have no instances where Mario takes off or replaces his hat in any way, shape, or form. This even includes his smaller version, which in later games actually makes him hatless. And I'm not sure why Nintendo decided to go this specific route, but I guess it was just a way to make them look different. I'm going to assume it probably was too hard to remove the hat in the earlier installments due to the limitations of the time, and when the technology updated and they could finally go all out, they decided to. The very first time in the series where Mario removes his famous cap is in Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES. Although it is replaced by some sort of power-up oriented outfit, starting with the frog suit. Not only does this give Mario the ability to move like a frog, hopping on land, and being able to maneuver smoothly underwater, it also literally makes him look like one, covering his body in green and putting cute little eyes on his hood. Now, this is a bit of a loophole as his head is still covered, but it isn't by his red hat, so it's permissible to showcase here in this video. The other power-up you can wear is the Tanuki suit, which makes Mario look like a raccoon, also oddly giving him the ability to turn into a stone statue, which is honestly still to this day odd to me. That statue actually removes any head covering from the character, so at least here he really is considered hatless. The next game to contain moments where Mario can become hatless is Super Mario 64 for the N64, which has 3 times where this can happen in 3 different courses, starting with the Klepto in the Shifting Sand Land. Initially found holding a star, flying around the pillars of the pyramid, this bird looks to steal something else once you've taken his golden prize, now wanting to grab your cap. If this creature does happen to swoop down and take it, you then just need to wait until it flies near one of the pillars to get it back. However, if you end up not getting it and leave the level, then it won't be on your head again until you get it back in that same course, making it a pain if you for some reason forgot where you left it. The second course that has something that will knock your cap off is in Snowman's Land, where if you try to cross the ice bridge near the head of the giant snowman, you can get blown to the ground. This also causes your hat to fly off your head, which then can just be easily picked off the ground. And even though this is a simple thing, it's still a fun addition to the game. The final time you can become hatless Mario in this entry is in the Tall Tall Mountain course, but here it's taken by one of the monkeys on its side, which is by far one of Super Mario 64's most annoying moments. These monkeys are extremely slippery, meaning you're definitely going to have a tough time getting it back from them, especially if you don't understand their movements. The very next game in the series, Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube, also has a way for you to lose your hat, this time via the Swiping Stew enemy found on the beach in Pinna Park. Because the different episodes of a course result in pretty different levels, this foe only shows up from numbers 5 to number 8, and as his name suggests, swoops down from the sky to swipe your hat. However, what's very interesting about the specific instance happening is that Mario begins to take damage from the intense heat of the sun, and if you don't get your hat back in time, you can actually burn to death. Also, look at the stew when he steals the hat, where he randomly gains a mustache, almost taunting you and Mario. New Super Mario Bros. For the Wii has one specific way for you to get Mario to lose his hat, which is by gaining the maximum 99 lives. This is most easily done by performing the Infinite 1-Up exploit in World 2-3, by bonking endlessly off the Koopa shell against the block staircase. Once you gain those lives, then the hat will disappear, but losing a life will immediately bring it back, meaning this really is a purely cosmetic change over anything else. Unfortunately in this title, this only works if you're playing as Mario, something that will sort of change in later ones that we look at. Although you can't play as hatless Mario in Super Mario Galaxy 2 for the Wii, there is one moment where it's jokingly removed from him during a cutscene. This is during the final of the game once you've rescued Princess Peach, where oddly Aluma will thank you for saving the day, but inexplicably also steals your hat. This really makes Mario look short when he's put up next to the princess. Not to mention that the hat makes his hair incredibly messy. The first game to make small Mario lose his hat in that form is Super Mario 3D Land for the 3DS, showing off our main character in that same bad hairstyle that we just saw. I'm not sure why Nintendo all of a sudden decided to change his appearance this late in the franchise, but at least you can tell him a bit more apart when compared to Big Mario. That other form can also lose his hat if you gain the maximum amount of lives, although here you have to collect an insane 1,110 of them, meaning you definitely need to use the exploit in this situation. This is done in World 1 too, where you can bonk off the Koopa shell between the block and the foreground wall, which is actually one of the easiest of these to do in the entire series. The third installment of the new Super Mario Bros. Sub-series came out for the 3DS in 2012, where again, getting 1,110 lives will for some reason remove your cap. Here, the easiest way to exploit this many 1-ups is in Mushroom World 1's sub-area, as you can break a few bricks and make your own staircase to easily bonk off the shell. I'm not really sure the significance of having to gain over 1,000 lives, but I guess Nintendo assumed that people already know about this exploit, and it was just a matter of time for people to figure out the secret. There's only one instance in New Super Mario Bros. For the Wii U where Mario loses his hat in any way, and that's when you're wearing the penguin suit, found primarily in the game's ice levels. This instead gives you a beak of the bird on your head, which sort of resembles a hat, but it's just different enough to qualify being shown off in this video. At least to me. The only time you normally can become hatless Mario in Super Mario 3D World is once again if you're in your smaller form, almost the same as the previous 3D Land entry. This also occurs if you're playing as Luigi, but Peach, Toad, and Rosalina just sort of turn into the more baby-like versions of themselves, which is definitely an odd sight to see. Also, I guess technically there are two power-ups that you can use to remove your cap in the Super Bell and Super Leaf, turning Mario into a cat and a raccoon. I do wonder if Mario's just wearing his hat underneath these costumes, but maybe this is something that will be answered soon in the upcoming Mario movie. Although I'm not really sure how true that's going to be to the series. The absolutely massive Super Mario Odyssey for the Switch has several times where Mario loses his hat throughout your adventure, starting with what happens during your first face-off against Bowser. This is just a cutscene where you actually lose against the King Koopa, and are thrown off his airship, with you being separated from your hat. It's then found by Cappy in the Cap Kingdom, but it's completely destroyed, with you then agreeing for him to take its place, allowing you to perform captures on enemies and objects. One of them that actually causes you to have to briefly platform without the aid of Cappy are the Scarecrows. I guess uses a way to not only activate puzzles, but forces you to have to use a harder way of maneuvering within them. There's also two non-capturable enemies that can steal away your hat for a brief period of time, that both happen to be found within the Lost Kingdom, starting with one we've seen before, the Klepto. Here he shows up right as you enter the kingdom, taking Cappy and retreating to a platform that's connected to another. Ground pounding the higher one when the bird's on the lower one will hurt the Klepto and make him drop your hat that can then be recollected. The other enemy is the Trap Beetle that grabs Cappy if you throw it towards them. They then can use Cappy to hone in on you and charge forward, either damaging you or being able to use this to your advantage to break certain rocks. These are pretty small moments in this huge game, but still strange enough to be noteworthy. The final title we're going to look at in this video is the Bowser's Fury game mode that was included in the re-release of Super Mario 3D World for the Switch, where really because this is an extension of that entry, it has the same hatless instances. I sort of wish there was at least a different enemy or object in this one that made you take your cap off, but I guess this would stray way too far away from the source material it's tied to. Alright, that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I really hope you did enjoy this one. If you did, please leave a like, comment below what you thought about it, and of course subscribe to my channel. Also, please go follow my Instagram at CopyCatGamer. There I upload some cool clips and items from my collection that you won't see anywhere else. Hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!